In this video, we'll be demonstrating how to use a spreadsheet for Lesson 11.1, Basics of Simple Interest. In this lesson, we talk about terms such as interest, principal, rate, and time. Now to calculate these different ones, we're going to be using different formulas for each of these spreadsheets, for each of these problems here. So we're going to start by finding interest, and then we'll break it down to finding principal, finding rate, and finding time. So if we look at our first example here, what we're looking to find is interest on a $60,000 loan needed to build a home. They're given an 8% interest rate and to pay it back over a year. That's example 1. So what we'll be doing for this is we'll be entering the amount of principal, and again, principal is the amount of money that is being borrowed. And then we are given a rate, which is 8%. Now, if you were to build your own spreadsheet for this one, you would have to change the cell out to be a percentage. So that's why this one automatically does it. Now, the time they give us is 1 year. So we're just going to do 1. Now, the formula to find this simple interest is to go equals, and just like the formula says here, equals principal times, which is the asterisk or shift 8, times rate times time. So the amount of interest that we would find on this loan over a period of a year at 8% would be $4,800. Now let's say that same amount, well, let's say we have 8.5% and the time is 1.5 years. What would that look like? So what we're going to do for this one is the same thing. Equals principal times rate times time. And for this one, for a year and a half at 8.5% would be $7,650. Now, what if the time is in months? How do we calculate that one? So for this example, we have $2,800 in principal. We've been given a rate of 8%. And the time is 9 months. Now the way we're going to do the time, as it says up here, we're going to go equals 9 divided by 12. 9 out of 12 months in a year. Enter, puts it into a decimal for us, and now we're ready to calculate. So we're going to go principal times rate times time, and be 168. Let's look at the other example for example 2. Same amount, same interest, but this time they have 13 months. So what we're doing for this is we go equals 13 divided by 12, enter. And the interest would be $242.67. Now, for these other 3 examples, now we're finding specific parts of this finding interest formula. So for part 1, what we'll be doing is finding principal. So for this example 3, we've been given a rate of 10.5%. We give them a time of 10 months, so we got to turn that into a fraction, which convert it into a decimal. So we're going to go equals 10 divided by 12, 10 out of 12 months, and then they give us the interest, $8,000. Now, to do this formula, it's a little more to it than what we've already been doing. So we're going to go equals, and we're going to follow our formula here, I, which is the interest, divided by, and then we have to use parentheses, and then we're going to go rate times time. And when we hit enter, we get 9,428.57. So the reason we do the parentheses is we're indicating in the formula what needs to be calculated first before we divide this number out. So it's important that you put the parentheses in there so the formula knows what order of operation in order to perform this formula. All right, well, what about finding rates? Well, if we have a principal of 9,000, we begin with time, 9 months, and an interest, 540. So to find the rate, we go equals, just like we would here in the formula, I divided by parentheses P times T. And when we calculate out, our rate is 8%. Again, parentheses are important, so it knows what order of operation to do. Now, finding time, it is probably the most difficult out of all of these. But let's walk through this one as well. So let's say we have a principal at 4,800. We have a 10% rate. We have $250 in interest. So we're looking for time. So we're going to go equals to start the formula. Click on the interest divided by parentheses P times R. And then we're going to divide this out by 12 or 12 months. So we're just going to simply go divided by 12, and we're entering that piece in ourselves. Parentheses, enter. And so the time for this one is 6.25. Now, if we wanted, now in this one, the amount of interest I just gave you was incorrect. We should actually be using $280 in interest. Not that it really matters too much because now the formula still calculates itself. Since it went from 250 to 280, it's 7 out of 12 months. So hopefully this helps. If you have any questions about how to use this spreadsheet, please let me know.